Hey guys, so build series again. This is episode number 2. Again, I am explaining this right now that this face is right now happening today. The face you're about to see is over a year old. I'm sporting a really good mustache in this one, so anyway, episode number 2 coming at you.
That's a good morning. Cup of coffee, quiet, beautiful. Slept great.
Okay, so I've been working on this thing a little bit, and what I decided to do is take out the entire headliner. So I did find a video on YouTube that kind of explained that, but basically you have to pull off all these things. The seatbelts need to come off. These little side pieces all come off, even the back one and that back piece. And then the headliner comes down. These wires right here are for the light that's here, and one of them actually got cut because I originally decided I was going to cut the headliner down the middle here, and I cut right through the wire that's like glued with glue gun, hot glue gun all the way across it. It's kind of unavoidable, so I wouldn't cut this again. I wouldn't advise it. I would just say pull down the whole thing, try and strip the wires off of it that are glued down onto it and disconnect them and keep them. So those are your lights that come on your dome lights when you open the doors. And because I cut mine, it's no longer working properly. So I'll have to fix that. The other cable comes out of here, and I've got it all tucked in down in this channel, this plastic stuff, so it's behind there. The wire that came up for that had 2 clips on it that came out right about here, and that was for the rear HVAC system controller. Anyway, that's put away down in there, and I'm going to keep the headliner off. And I'm going to go ahead and insulate all the way up to the front here between these ribs. So I'll show you a little bit as I go. And of course, here's the back. There's the nice sort of subfloor that I built right here. It's super creaky under my knees. This is the Stow and Go panels that make so much noise. This one's hollow, but I kept the other seat right there, and I made these holes. I opened them up just enough to be able to get them in there. They're kind of large, so I might get a little patch to go in here when I finish the floor off, just so that I can lift them out, bring the seat back, just so that they're hidden. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those yet for this particular floor, but at least I got the subfloor down. Next floor that's going to go in is this one, but that'll happen after this whole, the heater core and the condensing coil. I believe there's some kind of like reversing valve on the other side, or I don't know what kind of valve it is, but it's for the rear condenser for the AC system. So I'm going to bring that to a guy on Tuesday and see if they can disconnect it up at the front, so then I can just rip it out from the back and not worry about it. Okay, that's it. I did spray a little bit of spray paint up here just a few moments ago, and that's mostly dry now. It's a little bit tacky, but that's fine. There is a little bit of spot rust up there, and sleeping in this the last few nights, definitely cold out. It's only a couple degrees above 0, that's Celsius, and this thing was like just ready to drip all over me. So didn't quite drip on me last night, but it was ready to. So I dried everything off really well and blew the heat in here, had the windows down. I'm pretty confident it's all dry in here now, so I'm gonna do the ceiling insulation. Okay, so the way I'm going to do the insulation, I'm going to use the same product, and it's probably going to be 2 of these. They're going to get glued together up there. This is a really weird looking piece of plywood. This is 1/4 inch plywood. And they had these pre-cut sheets at Home Depot, and for some reason there was a whole bunch of them that had this big warp in it. I'm just gonna rip it, and it's actually perfect for me because I'm gonna rip it in little like 2-inch strips, and that's gonna have a little spring in it, and that'll help to spring the foam up into the ceiling as I glue it. So I'm just gonna use that for spring tension to hold those in place while they dry. These are gonna get screwed up in that orientation up on the ceiling so that when it's on either side of this, it's gonna be pressing right up into these low spots. So give me a lot of tension right there where I want it. Free material, man. Or at least I bought it just a long time ago. It's just temporarily to hold that there, although that I'm not going to peel that off, that's going to stay there. So I'm going to keep working this way towards the front, and then that's the first layer. There's going to be another layer, and then I'm going to take the strapping, and then that's going to get screwed on that, and that'll put spring tension on it as well. I'll leave the strapping up for a little while, at least until I figure out what I'm doing with the siding, and so that there's going to be a temporary roof, you'll see. This bumpy stuff I'm going over is kind of like a, I don't know what you call it, but it's really similar to that kind of like rattle trap kind of thing. Is to take away the tinniness, and it's just like some kind of plastic or glue. I guess it kind of had a rubbery quality to it at first, but it's like, it's pretty hard right now. It's fine, I still think it's serving a purpose. So take a measurement. It's 16 underneath. Oh, 16 and a quarter actually. Yeah, 16 and a quarter. Inside. That's perfect. Building a van is a lot like arts and crafts. Measure twice, cut once. Same as the other one. So they don't actually puzzle piece together, but if you cut them right off, oh little dry fit doesn't hurt anything. Whew. Built up with pressure. Fill it with glue. Thing about Scotch tape and blades, scissors that have a little serration on them, is that when you somehow the piece gets stuck to the roll, if you go to pick it off, it just wants to split all the time. So ideally you use a complete straight edge pair of scissors with Scotch tape. Next one's 18 inches. Perfect. That was a close call. Pull it over. Not bad. A little bit left to do up front. Starting to think this was a wasted idea. That panel glue is actually pretty decent. The PL 300, this stuff. Mind you, it is coming away a little bit in a couple spots, but I'm starting to think just the tuck tape might be enough. And I think I'm going to do that instead of the straps, because thing about the straps is I got a screw into the metal right in these parts. Let me grab a spot right into these ribs right here. I'm a little reluctant to do that at this stage because if I drill and screw in there and then I want to put the finish sealing on and the screw happens to line up and offset that hole that I previously drilled, and you end up with two holes that are overlapping, it's really going to be shitty. Because what I want to do with the ceiling is put in basically a 1/4 inch plywood ceiling all the way across, and I will be screwing into these ribs on, you know, the way they go across the car like that. And I'm going to use small countersunk screws that are going to go in to the steel and hold the ceiling up. And those countersunk screws are going to be covered up by a LED track, kind of like an aluminum extruded LED track. It houses those LED strips, and then you put up basically a little plastic cover over top of it, and it dissipates the light a lot nicer. So the idea is to have track lighting on these ribs right here. So there and there. Like a glove. Perfect. Now for the delicate peel part. Oh guys, you can't see way up there very well, can you? There, a little bit of it. Okay. Fish a little bit in there. Little tape. Ceiling is done. So maybe I'll put a little spray foam in here after all. Meantime, it's time to clean up. Little insulation update. Basically, the rock wool that I had was sitting in storage and it was full of rat poop. So yeah, that's not gonna go in the van. At Walmart, they got these pillows that are polyester fill for $3.50 each, or $3.60. Anyway, buying 7 of them for about $30, and that's the insulation for all the big dead spaces in the van. And you know what? This is basically Thinsulate, by the way. Okay, there was a lot of this I didn't show. I had my friend pop by and give me a hand with this, and we just went through and did a lot of work really quick. So what we ended up doing is we did spray foam pretty much like these beams here, the cross beams to go across the ceiling, like all the little holes that we could get into. We just did it, and we did it all the way around. Now I know even theoretically I understand that there's going to be spots where you're just going at this blind. You're sticking the nozzle in a hole and you're like trying to turn it and manipulate it to get the foam to go in the direction you want it to go, but you really don't have any idea how it's spitting that out and kind of expanding and filling stuff. There's inevitably going to be pockets in there that are not insulated. You know, hopefully there's no moisture trapped in there, but you know, I don't know, like there could be. Ideally, you wouldn't actually previously spend time living in it, breathing moisture into the air, and then the next day just trying to like vent it all out and doing this. Essentially, that's what I did today. Is I just parked it in the sun and I drove it around, and I had the heater running like full on, and it felt pretty dry in here. There was no condensation anywhere on the inside, so we got started on this late in the day, probably 8 p.m. and it's now 11. So we did all the spray foam everywhere, and we did some other insulation in here in all these areas. So the next step in all this is to get rid of this core. This is actually a condensing coil. There's a little big valve right here that here kick on. This thing's still operational, and then to get rid of the heater core, which is just sitting right here. So that's gonna get taken out too. So these two, once those are ripped out, then it's gonna open up this whole area for me to get into. The next step after that is gonna be working on these exhaust vents. So I'll have to make a trip to the junkyard soon to do that. And then once those are more or less done, at least that part in the wall, then I can finish the insulation, and that'll be that. So other than that, the insulation's done, except for in the doors, and I might not touch the doors until later, like maybe not even this year. Maybe I will. It depends on time and all that sort of stuff, but I'm probably just going to leave them the way they are for the time being and focus on everything else. So that's it. Adios. All right. that was all right. So far that insulation is holding up just fine in this van. So anyway, that's the end of that. And the next episode is going to do with the removal of the rear HVAC system, which sat right around down in this area. Now I've got my diesel heater down there. And there might be some other stuff on there as well. I'm just not sure exactly yet if there will be, because once I get all that footage in the editing software, then I can kind of see where the beginning and the end of that video is going to be. And if there's, so that might include more stuff, or it might just be that. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. Hope you liked it, and of course, stay tuned. There'll be more. Okay, bye guys. Take care.